The Madlanga Commission continues to uncover explosive WhatsApp messages allegedly exchanged between suspected crime syndicate boss Vusimuzi Matlala and Northwest businessman Brown Mogotsi. SAPS Crime Intelligence Head Lieutenant-General Dumisani Khumalo confirmed that Mogotsi had unauthorized access to sensitive police information, including details of SAPS employees' data meant to be restricted to the police HR department. Now, even more disturbing, the leaked messages reveal a possible plot to conceal information related to the assassination of a former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaqa.
On the first paragraph, the names named are within the sentence that starts with, "They were about to arrest the police officers who were implicated in the killing of Sindiso Magaqa." I'm told that all reports that were withheld by Begicele have been retrieved and handed over to Minister Senzo Mchunu. That is the message then contained in that first paragraph. The second paragraph, it continues to talk about the alleged information then around that case of the killing of Sindiso Magaqa, mentioning some of the names of people that were involved, as well as other names as the firearms, the money exchanged, and then some of the noticeable names are the names that we are aware of that were part of our briefing yesterday on the same case.
All right, joining us now for further analysis on proceedings at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry is Dr Mpho Matlala from the College of Law School of Criminal Justice at UNISA. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time, Dr. Matlala. So just to get your analysis then in terms of what we can make on some of the testimony that we heard from Lieutenant-General Dumisani Khumalo, producing explosive evidence in the form of those WhatsApp conversations, pointing to essentially the infiltration of organized crime into politics, law enforcement, and even private security. At the center of it all, one can deduce the allegations between suspected crime syndicate, boss Matlala, as well as Brown Mogotsi, bankrolling senior politicians and even alleged funding of factions within the ANC.
Indeed, very worrying revelations, and but perhaps the biggest positive is that everything was backed up by evidence. Those WhatsApp really, excuse me, demonstrated the nexus or the linkage between Brian Mogotsi, Matlala, and Senzo Mayo. But what then we are also seeing playing out is that Mogotsi, as the middleman, makes sure that Matlala does not get a direct link to the minister, and the minister does not get direct linkage. He sort of manages like a chess master in terms of what the other knows or what messages can reach the other side. And in that way, the situation, he managed the situation in a very deceitful fashion, and to a point that you can tell that when the minister dealt or rather cancelled the tender, Matlala's tender, he did not know that it was Matlala, and neither did he know that Matlala was the same person of the January 8th statement who keeps on bankrolling them, because Mogotsi would have then made sure that he remains in charge of the information that comes in and goes out between the two parties.
Legally speaking, I mean, how strong is the evidence presented so far by Lieutenant-General Khumalo? Can WhatsApp chats stand the test of legal scrutiny, particularly, of course, given the fact that these are also, in some instances, screenshots? There was a point where the commissioner, the chair, questioned how does a forwarded message look like, etc.
Look, Unat, this is exactly what is going to come out under cross-examination when everybody else that is implicated will then test the validity of the evidence. Apart from the technical issues that General Khumalo alluded to today, there is also going to be issues on how the evidence was obtained. Was it constitutional? Was it obtained by means of invasion of a people's privacy? Was it part of an ongoing investigation? Did that investigation really obtain a court order, or was it also in the context of the covert operations? In which case, we all know that covert operations always, in an ideal world, covert operations will always get some kind of a court order, authorization by either a magistrate or a judge to conduct a particular investigation and obtain a specific record. So that question of whether it will stand legal scrutiny is something that will play out under cross-examination. I think it's still early days to tell in terms of the validity of the evidence that has been presented. But having said that, on face value, I do think that the evidence presented by Lieutenant General Khumalo is credible on face value, but then we are yet to really hear how it is interrogated under cross-examination.
Yeah. I want to turn our focus then on our breaking news story. I would imagine you would have seen, and the passing of Mthethwa. He was recently in the news when he was named by Lieutenant General Dr Mpho as having forced a former Inspector General of Intelligence, Faith Radebe, to withdraw a criminal case against the former head of crime intelligence, Richard Mdluli. How do we then frame his passing against the backdrop of his long career as a police minister? In fact, he was a minister of police from the 11th of May 2009 until the 25th of May 2014.
I just want to start off by saying, we hope that the authorities in France will get to the bottom of this, because we hear very disturbing stories around the circumstances, but be that as it may, it's a developing story. I would rather not go into it and just leave it to the authority. But in as far as the Madlanga Commission goes, the allegations against the now late minister or ambassador were very, very disturbing. And, in our culture, when somebody is passed on, we no longer speak ill we don't speak ill of the deceased. As an African, I really choose to observe that principled position. And I really hope that going further, the information that we will hear around the now departed ambassador, we will only hear in as far as it implicates other players, because South Africa does deserve to know. But in as far as the evidence concerning the departed ambassador, I just pray and hope that the Commission can find it within itself to actually direct that evidence be heard in camera. We are no longer so much concerned about now the reputation of the deceased ambassador, but so much that the loved ones that are left behind that may be impacted. So from a cultural perspective, I choose to observe that principled position.
Yeah, and believe me, Dr. Matlala, it's also a tough one to straddle too, as the members of the media. I speak for myself too, but some questions just really need to be asked, particularly given the fact that this is in front of the Commission as we speak. But thank you so much for your time, and I do appreciate and also respect your cultural preferences. Of course, that was Dr. Mpho Matlala from the College of Law School of Criminal Justice at UNISA.